The notification buzz at 3:17 a.m. should have been my first warning. But there I was, half asleep in what used to be our guest room, watching my wife Zoe destroy my life in real time for 12,000 strangers. "I'm done with his lies," she wailed into her phone camera, mascara streaming down her cheeks in perfect Instagram-worthy rivulets. "Watch me throw this loser out of his place." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Henry Mitchell, 45 years old, and I sell million-dollar condos in downtown Denver for people who treat real estate like collecting Pokemon cards. 20 years ago, I was installing drywall for minimum wage. Now I wear suits that cost more than my old monthly rent. But according to my wife's live stream, I'm still the same worthless piece of trash who doesn't deserve the life I built. "Welcome to the Henry Humiliation Hour," I muttered to myself, watching the comments flood in, starring my soon-to-be ex-wife and her army of keyboard warriors. The viewer count climbed. 12,000 became 13,000. Zoe had found her audience, and they were eating up every word of her performance. "He controls everything," she sobbed, panning the camera across our living room. "This expensive furniture, he picked it all. These ugly paintings, his choice. I'm basically a prisoner in this glass tower." I wanted to laugh. Those ugly paintings were original pieces she'd insisted we buy from her artist friend Marcus. The expensive furniture came from her Pinterest boards that I dutifully followed like a shopping list. But facts didn't matter when you had an audience hungry for drama. The comments were brutal. "Girl, leave his ass." "You deserve better, queen. What a controlling freak." "Take half of everything." Zoe read them aloud, feeding off the validation. She'd found her drug, and I was the dealer she was about to cut off. "I'm changing the locks tomorrow," she announced to her digital jury. "Security can't stop me. This is my home, too." That's when I knew she'd crossed a line she couldn't walk back from. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the lease agreement. My name. Only my name. I'd bought this place 3 years before we got married, back when Zoe was still pretending to be impressed by my success story. Now she was rewriting history for likes and follows. My phone buzzed with texts from neighbors. "Dude, your wife is losing it on Instagram. Are you seeing this live stream? Building group chat is going crazy." I opened the building's resident app. 47 new messages in the last 10 minutes. Screenshots of Zoe's stream, concerned neighbors asking if they should call security, and a few people who clearly enjoyed the drama. "Mrs. Patterson from 4B, this is highly inappropriate. Some of us have work tomorrow. Jake from 7A, better than cable TV TBH. Building manager Dave. Henry, please handle this situation." Handle it. Right. Like I was the one broadcasting our private business to thousands of strangers at 3 a.m. I walked to the living room where Zoe was still performing. She saw me and her eyes lit up with malicious joy. "Oh, look, everyone. The man himself. Say hi to your fans, Henry." She shoved the phone in my face. I could see myself in the camera, tired and wearing old pajamas. The comments exploded. "He looks guilty?" Abuser vibes. "Why won't he speak?" "I'm not doing this," I said quietly. "See?" Zoe spun back to the camera. "He won't even defend himself. That's how you know someone's guilty." The logic was flawless. Stay silent, and I'm guilty. Speak up, and I'm defensive. Which also means guilty. She'd created the perfect trap. But I had something she'd forgotten about. Documentation. I called building security on speakerphone, making sure her live stream caught every word. "Hi, Dave. It's Henry Mitchell in 12C. I need you to remove an unauthorized person from my unit. Yes, I know it's my wife. No, her name isn't on the lease. Yes, I'm sure." Zoe's face went white. "You wouldn't dare." 12,000 people are about to find out. The comments shifted. "Wait, is this legal? Plot twist. She's not on the lease?" 3 minutes later, Dave knocked on our door with 2 security guards. I handed him the lease agreement while Zoe's phone kept recording. "Ma'am, you need to leave the premises immediately," Dave said in his professional voice. "This is my home," Zoe shrieked. "According to this lease, it's not. You have 5 minutes to gather essential items." The viewer count hit 15,000. People were sharing the stream, calling friends, making popcorn. My humiliation had become Denver's late-night entertainment. Zoe grabbed some clothes and her ring lights, still streaming the whole time. "This isn't over, Henry. I'll destroy you." "Hope your viewers enjoyed the show," I said, looking directly into her camera. The last thing I saw before she was escorted out was the comment count exploding. But for the first time all night, some of them were on my side. The door closed, the condo fell silent. and I realized this was just the beginning. I woke up at 6 a.m. to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Zoe's Instagram live eviction had gone viral overnight. Henry eviction was trending on Twitter. Someone had made TikToks with her dramatic exit set to soap opera music. My coffee maker gurgled while I scrolled through the damage. Entertainment blogs had picked up the story. Influencer wife evicted during live stream, viewers shocked by husband's cold response. The comments under her original stream had exploded to over 8,000. People were taking sides, dissecting every frame like it was the Zapruder film. Some called me an abuser. Others called her a manipulative narcissist. Both sides were probably right. My phone rang. Mom. Henry Joseph Mitchell, what in God's name is happening? Mrs. Henderson from down the street sent me some internet video of you throwing Zoe out in her pajamas. It's complicated, Mom. Complicated? The whole neighborhood is talking. That poor girl looked devastated. That poor girl was trying to illegally change the locks on my condo at 3 a.m. while broadcasting it to strangers. Silence. Mom processing. Well, she finally said, I never liked her anyway. Too much makeup. But you could have handled it more privately. She's the one who made it public. Fair point. You want me to come stay with you for a few days? I'm fine, Mom. No, you're not. You're about to do something stupid. I can hear it in your voice. Don't do anything stupid, Henry. Too late for that advice. I got to the office by 8 a.m., hoping to bury myself in property listings and commission calculations. Instead, I walked into a buzzsaw of gossip. Holy shit, Henry, called out Brad from his cubicle. You're famous, dude. The entire sales floor had seen it. Marlene Torres, my old partner before she got promoted to senior associate, waved me over to her office. Close the door, she said. We need to talk. Marlene was 42, sharp as a knife, and had saved my ass more times than I could count during my early years. She'd also been the one person who warned me that Zoe was trouble from day one. That was quite a performance last night, she said. Which part, mine or hers? Both. But here's what you don't know. Zoe's been planning this for weeks. She pulled up Zoe's Instagram on her computer. Look at these posts from the last month. She's been building a narrative. Feeling trapped. When someone controls your life, sometimes you have to fight for your freedom. I scrolled through them, Zoe posing sadly by windows, cryptic quotes about emotional abuse, photos of expensive dinners with captions about feeling empty inside. She was setting up the victim story, Marlene continued. The livestream wasn't spontaneous. It was planned content. How do you know all this? Because I follow influencer drama like other people follow sports. And because... She hesitated. Because she reached out to me 3 weeks ago. What? She wanted to know about your finances, your assets. She asked if I thought you'd fight a divorce or just roll over. And you told her what? That you're tougher than you look, which apparently was the wrong answer. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Saw the show last night. Impressive work. Want to grab coffee? Liam. I showed Marlene the message. Who's Liam? She asked. No idea. But I had a feeling I was about to find out. I met Liam at a trendy coffee shop in Rhino, the kind of place where a basic latte costs $8 and comes with foam art. He was exactly what I expected. 38, perfectly styled hair, wearing a blazer with jeans like he was auditioning for a startup commercial. Henry Mitchell, he said, standing to shake my hand. I'm Liam Crawford, brand consultant. Never heard of you. That's about to change. I represent Zoe. I sat down slowly. Represent her how? Business development, social media strategy, crisis management. He smiled. That last one's particularly relevant today. Get to the point. The point is, you've become part of Zoe's brand story. The controlling husband, the villain in her journey of self-discovery, and frankly, you played the part perfectly last night. I played the part of a guy who didn't want his locks changed at 3 a.m. Tomato, tomato. The audience ate it up. Zoe's gained 4,000 new followers since last night. Her engagement is through the roof. Brands are already reaching out. I stared at him. You're telling me this was all marketing? Everything's marketing, Henry. The question is whether you want to be part of the solution or part of the problem. What's the solution? You apologize, publicly. Take responsibility for being controlling and emotionally unavailable. Zoe forgives you in a tearful reunion video. You both promote healthy relationship communication. Everyone wins. And if I don't? Liam's smile got sharper. Then you become the villain in a very public story, and villains don't get happy endings. I finished my $8 coffee and stood up. Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll write my own ending. Walking back to my car, I realized Mom was right. I was about to do something stupid, but sometimes stupid is exactly what the situation calls for. By Thursday, Zoe had weaponized her victimhood into a full-scale media campaign. She'd posted a 20-minute video called My Truth Surviving Emotional Abuse that had racked up 50,000 views. The comments were a mix of support, "You're so brave," and skepticism, "Oh, where are the receipts?" She'd also hired a lawyer. I knew this because said lawyer called me at 7 a.m. with threats wrapped in legal jargon: defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, unlawful eviction. They wanted damages, a public apology, and temporary spousal support. Your client was trespassing, I told him. Your client was exercising her marital rights to the home. Her name isn't on anything: lease, mortgage, utilities, nothing. Colorado is a common law state, Mr. Mitchell. Marriage creates certain property interests. Then I guess we'll let a judge decide. I hung up and called my own lawyer, Janet Reeves. Janet was 63, had been practicing family law for 30 years, and had the personality of a honey badger with a law degree. I saw the video, she said. Your wife's got a flair for drama. Can she actually sue me? She can try, but she's got problems. First, the livestream proves she was the aggressor. Second, her own words establish that she was planning to illegally change locks. Third, building security will testify that you followed proper procedures. So I'm good? You're legally protected. Socially? That's a different story. The internet has already decided you're guilty. She was right. Henry eviction had evolved into how? Justice for Zoe. Someone had created a GoFundMe for her legal expenses that had raised $3,000. A local women's shelter had invited her to speak about domestic abuse, but I had advantages Zoe didn't know about, like Marlene's insider knowledge of the influencer world, and building security footage that showed a lot more than just Wednesday night's drama. Dave, I said to our building manager, I need a favor. After Wednesday night? You've got about 10 favors coming. I need security footage from the last month, every time Zoe entered or left the building. Why? Because I think she's been planning this longer than anyone realizes. Dave pulled up the digital logs on his computer. What am I looking for? Visitors, specifically visitors she might not have mentioned to me. We found them. 7 visits from Liam Crawford over the past month, usually when I was at work. Each visit lasted 2 to 4 hours. A lot of business consulting happening in your living room, Dave observed. Yeah, real intensive strategy sessions. But the security footage revealed something more interesting. On 3 separate occasions, Zoe and Liam had staged what looked like practice runs. Zoe pretending to cry while Liam filmed her with his phone. Zoe rehearsing dramatic gestures. Zoe testing different lighting setups in the lobby. They were practicing, I realized. Practicing what? The performance. I had Dave burn the footage to a flash drive. Then I called Marlene. How well do you know the influencer gossip blogs? I asked. Better than I know my own family. Why? Because I've got a story they're going to love. That afternoon, Denver's biggest lifestyle blogger, Sarah Chen, published an exclusive The Truth Behind Stark Justice for Zoe. Security footage reveals stage drama. The post included screenshots from the building's security system showing Liam's frequent visits, timestamps proving Zoe had been planning content for weeks, and video clips of her rehearsing emotional scenes in the lobby. The internet's reaction was swift and brutal. The same people who'd been calling me an abuser 12 hours earlier were now calling Zoe a fraud. Her Justice for Zoe became Hard Zoe Exposed. The GoFundMe was suspended pending investigation. Zoe's response was predictable. A tearful Instagram Live claiming the footage was taken out of context, that she and Liam were just friends, and that I was using my male privilege to destroy her credibility. But the damage was done. Her follower count started dropping. Brand partnerships were quietly canceled. The women's shelter rescinded their speaking invitation. Liam, meanwhile, had gone completely silent on social media. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, and someone was about to push me off. The push came Friday morning in the form of a text from Zoe. You want to play dirty? Fine. But I know things about you that would destroy more than just your reputation. Back off, or everyone finds out what really happened with Jennifer. Jennifer. My stomach dropped. Jennifer Walsh had been a client 2 years ago. Messy divorce, needed to sell the family home quickly. We'd worked closely together for 3 months, and yes, there had been moments. Conversations that went too long, dinners that weren't quite business. A kiss in my car outside her lawyer's office that we both immediately regretted. Nothing had happened beyond that kiss, but in the right hands, with the right spin, it could look like much more. Zoe knew because I'd told her. In a moment of guilt-driven honesty, I'd confessed the whole thing. She'd forgiven me, said she understood, promised it would stay between us. Now she was weaponizing my honesty against me. I stared at the text for a long time. Then I did something that surprised even me. I laughed. Because Zoe had just made a crucial mistake. She'd revealed that she still thought I was the same pushover she'd married, the guy who would roll over and take whatever punishment she decided to dish out. But that guy had gone Wednesday night at 3:17 a.m. in front of 12,000 strangers. The new guy was just getting started. Zoe's threat about Jennifer was supposed to make me back down. Instead, it made me realize something important. She was running out of ammunition. If a 2-year-old almost affair was her nuclear option, she was weaker than she wanted me to believe. But I needed to be smart about this. Going after her directly would just make me look vindictive. I needed her to destroy herself. Fortunately, Zoe had never met a spotlight she didn't want to stand in. Saturday morning, she posted a new video. Why I'm Not Backing Down. A message to my haters. 28 minutes of her explaining why the security footage was manipulated, why her relationship with Liam was purely professional, and why she was the real victim in all of this. The video was a masterpiece of self-destruction. She contradicted herself multiple times, got defensive about questions no one had asked, and most importantly, confirmed details that she couldn't possibly know unless she'd been planning the whole thing. People are saying I rehearsed my emotional breakdown, she said, making air quotes, like I planned to be devastated by my husband's cruelty, like I knew exactly how he'd react when I tried to exercise my basic rights as his wife. But she'd never told anyone that she was planning to change the locks. In her original livestream, she'd presented it as a spontaneous decision. Now she was admitting it was premeditated. The comments section tore her apart. So you did plan it? Your story keeps changing. This is getting embarrassing. Her subscriber count, which had briefly spiked during the initial drama, started hemorrhaging. She was losing followers faster than she could delete negative comments. But Zoe doubled down. She announced she was writing a book, Escaping the Glass Tower, My Journey from Victim to Survivor. She started a Patreon for supporters of authentic storytelling. She booked herself on a local morning show to discuss digital abuse in modern relationships. Each move made her look more desperate and less credible. Meanwhile, I was playing a different game entirely. I want to make an offer on the Morrison property, I told the seller's agent Monday morning. The Morrison property was a $2.3 million penthouse that had been sitting on the market for 6 months. Beautiful space, but overpriced, and in a building with a reputation for difficult board approval. For a client? She asked. For myself. Henry, that's a big step up from your current place. I'm ready for a change. What I didn't tell her was that the Morrison penthouse was in the same building where Liam lived, and according to his social media posts, he was struggling to make rent on his overpriced one-bedroom unit. I made an all-cash offer at asking price with a 30-day close. The seller accepted immediately. Then I did something that would have made my old blue-collar self proud. I called in some favors. My buddy Rick ran a towing company. Remember when I helped you buy that house in Highlands Ranch? I asked him. Of course. You saved me $20,000 on that deal. I need a small favor. Liam's BMW had been parked illegally in a loading zone outside his building for 3 days running. Rick's crew happened to be in the neighborhood and noticed the violation. Totally legitimate tow. My other buddy Mike owned a pest control company. Liam's building had been having issues with cockroaches. Mike's team was very thorough in their treatment of the problem, especially around Unit 4B, where they may have accidentally triggered the fire alarm system during their work. Nothing illegal. Nothing that couldn't be explained as coincidence or standard business practice. But the cumulative effect was that Liam's life became significantly more complicated. His car got towed twice in 1 week. His apartment was evacuated 3 times for various maintenance emergencies. His building's internet went down repeatedly, making it impossible for him to work from home. By Wednesday, he was posting frustrated stories on Instagram about Mercury being in retrograde and negative energy following him around. Zoe, meanwhile, was spiraling. Her morning show appearance had been a disaster. The host, clearly having done her homework, asked pointed questions about the security footage, the timeline inconsistencies, and why Zoe's story kept changing. I think you're trying to trap me, Zoe had said on live television. I'm just asking about the facts, the host replied. Facts can be manipulated by people with power and privilege. These are your own words, from your own videos. This interview is over. Zoe had walked off set, but not before the cameras caught her calling the host a corporate shill and threatening to expose this whole network. The clip went viral, but not in the way Zoe intended. That evening, she called me for the first time since the eviction. "Henry, we need to talk." "I'm listening." "This has gone too far. People are saying horrible things about me." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you? Because it feels like you're enjoying this." "I'm not enjoying anything, Zoe. I'm just living my life." "Your life? Your life is destroying mine. You're the one who made this public. You're the one who keeps making videos and giving interviews and writing books about it." "Because you forced me to defend myself. I forced you to livestream our private business at 3 a.m? Silence. "I want to call a truce," she finally said. "What kind of truce?" "We both stop. No more videos, no more blog posts, no more drama. We handle the divorce quietly, split things fairly, and move on with our lives." It was a reasonable offer, the smart thing to do, the mature thing to do. "No," I said. "No?" "You made me a public villain, Zoe. You tried to destroy my reputation, my business, my relationships. You threatened to lie about Jennifer. You don't get to call time out just because you're losing. Henry, please, I'm begging you. You should have thought about that before you hit go live." I hung up. Mom was right. I was definitely about to do something stupid, but I was going to enjoy every minute of it. The Morrison penthouse came with more than just a view of the Rocky Mountains. It came with access to the building's social calendar, resident directory, and most importantly, the monthly board meetings where residents discussed community concerns. Liam Crawford, Unit 4B, was 3 months behind on his maintenance fees. "It's becoming a real problem," said Mrs. Whitmore, the board president. "We've sent multiple notices, but he keeps promising payment next week." "What's our policy on delinquent accounts?" I asked, playing the concerned new resident. "After 90 days, we can begin eviction proceedings." "That seems fair." I didn't have to push. The board was already fed up with Liam's excuses and his habit of leaving his BMW in other residents' parking spaces. They voted unanimously to begin the eviction process. But that was just the opening move. The real game was happening online, where Zoe had made a fatal error. She'd started believing her own publicity. Her book proposal had been rejected by 6 publishers, but she was telling people it was because of my campaign of harassment against female voices. Her Patreon had raised exactly $47, but she was posting about overwhelming support from the sisterhood. She was living in a fantasy world, and I was about to give her a reality check. "I need another favor," I told Marlene. "Henry, you're starting to scare me." "Nothing illegal. I just need you to set up a meeting." "With who?" "Jennifer Walsh." Marlene stared at me. "The client? The one Zoe's threatening to lie about?" "That's the one." "Henry, that's playing with fire. The fire's already lit. I'm just deciding who gets burned." Jennifer agreed to meet me at a downtown restaurant. She looked good, confident, successful, happier than she'd been during her divorce proceedings 2 years ago. "I heard about your situation," she said over coffee. "Zoe's been vocal. That's one word for it. She contacted me, you know." "When?" "Last week. She wanted to know about our relationship, whether anything inappropriate had happened, whether I'd be willing to make a statement about your pattern of predatory behavior." "What did you tell her?" "The truth, that you were professional, that nothing happened beyond one moment we both regretted, and that her accusations were completely unfounded." "Thank you. Don't thank me yet, because I also told her that if she tries to drag my name into her social media circus, I'll sue her for defamation so fast it'll make her head spin." Jennifer reached into her purse and pulled out a small recording device. "I recorded the whole conversation. She made it very clear that she was willing to lie about what happened between us if it helped her case against you." "That's extortion?" "Yeah, my lawyer thinks so too." I stared at the device. "Why are you helping me?" "Because what she's doing is wrong, and because—" She smiled. "Because that kiss wasn't that bad, and I'm not letting her turn it into something ugly." That evening, I did something I hadn't done since this whole mess started. I went live on Instagram. I'd created the account that afternoon. 0 followers, 0 posts, just a blank slate. But I had something Zoe didn't: the truth. "Hi, everyone. I'm Henry Mitchell. Some of you might know me as the villain in my ex-wife's story. I wanted to set the record straight. I started with the basics: the lease agreement, the security footage, the evidence of premeditation. But then I played Jennifer's recording. Zoe's voice, clear as day. I don't care what actually happened. I care what people believe happened. and if Henry thinks he can embarrass me publicly, he's about to learn that I can destroy him privately. The viewer count climbed. 50 people became 500, became 5,000. People were sharing the stream, calling friends, making it must-see content. I talked for 20 minutes. No drama, no tears, just facts. Documents, timestamps, recordings, witnesses. I laid out the entire timeline of Zoe's deception like a prosecutor presenting a case to a jury. By the time I finished, I had 12,000 viewers, exactly the same number who'd watched Zoe's original eviction stream. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive. Holy shit, she's insane. This guy got played hard. Justice for Henry. But the real victory came the next morning when Zoe posted her response, a 40-minute video called My Abuser's Final Attack, Why I'm Done Being Silent. It was unhinged. She claimed I'd manipulated Jennifer into lying. She said the recordings were deep-faked. She accused me of hiring hackers to plant fake evidence in the building's security system. Most damaging of all, she threatened to release private, intimate photos of me unless I stopped this harassment campaign. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Revenge porn threats were a bridge too far, even for her most loyal supporters. Her remaining brand partnerships were canceled. Her social media accounts were reported and temporarily suspended. The local news picked up the story, but not as a human interest piece about domestic abuse, as a cautionary tale about social media manipulation. Liam, meanwhile, had been formally evicted from his building. His last Instagram post was a photo of moving boxes with the caption, New Chapter Incoming. Sometimes you have to burn bridges to light the way forward. It would have been poetic if it weren't so pathetic. The divorce papers were filed on a Tuesday. No fault, uncontested, with a settlement that gave Zoe exactly what she'd brought into the marriage. Nothing. She didn't fight it. By Friday, she'd left Denver entirely. Her final social media post was a photo of a sunset with the caption, Sometimes the best revenge is living well. See you on the flip side, haters. She'd disabled comments. I was standing in my new penthouse looking out at the city lights when Marlene called. So, she said, how does it feel to win? Like I lost something too. Your marriage? My innocence. 2 months ago, I would never have imagined doing what I just did. 2 months ago, your wife wouldn't have imagined destroying your life for internet points. She had a point. What now? She asked. Now I go back to selling overpriced condos to people with too much money. That's it? That's enough. I hung up and poured myself a drink. Outside, Denver sparkled like a circuit board, all lights and connections and invisible currents of power. Somewhere out there, Zoe was probably planning her comeback, some new narrative about redemption and growth and learning from mistakes. She'd find a new audience, new supporters, new people to manipulate with her perfectly crafted vulnerability. But she'd never find another Henry Mitchell. Never again would she find someone naive enough to mistake her performance for authenticity, her manipulation for love. I raised my glass to the window, to the city, to whatever came next. Here's to learning the game, I said to no one. The lights twinkled back at me like they understood,